Bureau is recognizing CBOs, the role of CBOs, and they are considering them. Our argument has been to let these CBOs operate beyond a sub-county. Yeah. So if they can operate beyond the sub-county and at least to a district level, we are seeing more changes because they do a lot of work, and I think it has not been recognized. So from this CSO convention, national convention, it has been good to me, and it's a message to take back. The communities where I come from that I've had to the people from NGO Bureau. Yes. And CBOs are yet to be recognized as good CBOs who can work beyond a sub-county.
Well, thank you so much. That means development, and also it means impact, because now you'll be covering bigger area. That means you're going to reach to a lot of people. A lot of other people are going to come in here. They will be sharing their opinions on the discussions that have happened today. So I will say goodbye to the gentleman in the studio, and then I look out for another panelist that have been, discussing issues up there in the conference room.
Policy right now is the Ministry of Justice, as the mother ministry for the Uganda Human Rights Commission, to do the RIA, and then we can get the ball rolling. And then also, when it comes to the issues of civic education, I always tell people civic education is honestly work in progress. Why? I will speak to Charity today. I might not see Charity ever again. Then when she leaves, maybe Beatrice is seated here. And Beatrice says, you've never been here. But when I was speaking to Charity, she wasn't there. Just like religion, we go to church every Sunday. The Muslims pray 5 times a day. We are a religious country, but would we say that we don't have people sinning or violating our laws in our religions? No. So it is work in progress, and human rights education, or rather civic education, can never be enough, because what we are doing is a drop in the ocean. We should all push for continuous civic education. There should be a fund, and also collectively working together. So that all of us are speaking from the same hymn book, not Hope coming today and saying Z, Peace coming the other day and saying Y, Joy saying it is X. Can we harmonize? Because UHRC really has an open door policy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just to say that the sector is interested in that policy. Yes. I know at a certain point we engaged, and then there was a kind of drop, so we are interested in being a part of those consultations. Charity, over to you. You had a number of questions. I'm still hoping we can finish in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. 10 is too many. 10 is usually too many for me, because I know 5, 3 to 5. Now, the last point Hope gave made me think, okay, government is saying they want to give funds to civil society. Why don't they turn those funds to UHRC to do this civic education? It's just my wild thought, people. But anyway, back to the questions that we were asked. So Muyinga said, let's use the law. Let's go to court and demand that the law is upheld as it is. Do litigation. But we just talked about financial challenges for civil society organizations, meaning that there is no funding to do litigation. We used to do a lot of litigation. In fact, we had become litigants. NetPeel, we worked together with the Uganda Law Society and LASPNet. We always had cases and were in court, and these actually were helping inform processes. But now, because of funding issues, we are not having a lot of litigation. What we need is a practical solution for now, because we are going into this election anytime now. As in, we've already started. Once campaigns have started, means that we are actually going to vote. Then there was a question from the Royal Danish Embassy. I think, have I missed anyone else? No, all the others have been addressed. There is a question from the Royal Danish Embassy on the 10,000 police constables and increasing that number to 100,000, and if I'm involved with the police in any way. I only happened to get a chance to talk to the police yesterday at the UHRC dialogue. And the question we were putting across to them was the question of managing polling stations. It is a requirement by law that each polling station should have a policeman or a police constable. Now, of course, we were also urging that we didn't need the military in elections because elections are civil processes. And they were putting up a case for why they need the army to come and support them because they are few in number, and elections are tense processes, and because they are tense, they require to work with security, sister security forces. That is how the conversation of the 52,000 and 52,000 policemen came up. So there are 100,000 constables. They might get this number because with every election, they set a threshold of how many police constables they are going to recruit. And they actually recruit them. The question I ask is, whenever they train them, why don't they maintain them? Such that the next election, they don't need to recruit new ones. But that question has never been answered by any police official. I hope UHRC can get me to the policemen again. I'll be asking. Then backup asked me about renewal of national IDs and whether it will affect the voting in any way. Now, in the past, the Electoral Commission used to pick data from the NIRA database to determine the national voter register. And in 2021, 1.2 million Ugandans were denied a chance to vote even when they had turned 18. And it was a big issue. And in this election, that number has doubled. But of course, we haven't put that into document, and it's amongst the reforms that we asked that should have taken place in the electoral cycle that is ending now. But it was never carried forward to allow for people who turn 18 years in the election year to be part of the voter register. So the number has doubled for the coming election, but we haven't documented it, and I think it is a key thing for civil society to document. So will it affect the voting process? Because there's been a lot of what I would call lack of transparency around the National Voters Register. It is very possible that the national ID could become an issue, or the renewal of national ID could become an issue at the time of voting. I said there was lack of transparency. So for me, every time there is a gray area, we fill it with our own information. Now, lastly, I found my statistics, which I want to leave everybody thinking about. This is how Uganda voted in 2021.
Casting the first day. And since I have a doctor in the studios, we are going to be looking at, particularly because he's the CSO of the Network of Public Interest Lawyers, we are going to be looking at regulation and compliance. Most CSOs are complaining of being over-regulated. Now we want to draw a line between regulation and over-regulation. You're most welcome, Dr. James.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, could you please shed more light about regulation and over-regulation, as it has been raised many times in the discussions?
Basically, there is no contestation that civil society has to be regulated.
Oh.
The problem has been
Regulation.
No, regulation is acceptable. Regulation is that allows you to grow.
That is stipulated within the laws.
It's stipulated within the laws. It is allowing you to grow. It serves an orderly effect, that there must be order, certainty, predictability in the sector. Now, when you introduce laws that are beyond what is necessary for me to function, we are entering into the terrain of over-regulation. Basically, you create something. In essence,
you create a law.
You create a law or an administrative rule. Okay? Sometimes it's administrative.
To limit.
Before you know it, people are overwhelmed. Okay? And when you're overwhelmed, you think twice whether you should even be in the sector So there is that retreat, okay, when members begin retreating because all the time you're discussing regulation.
Yeah.
So they I think today what came out very clear is that no one is anti-regulation, but the question is, isn't it possible for even this regulation to be centralized? Is it possible for me to submit the same documents to the bureau, but when the FIA, the URSB, all the other government regulators, when they can have access to the same document?
I do not have to now distribute my documents to the Financial Intelligence Authority, go to the bureau.
Yes.
The processes, the bureaucracy.
Yes, the bureaucracy, the cost. Okay, we're saying if you can, there can be centralization. Of course, it's a two-way agenda. One, reduce on the demands, some of them unnecessary, because you can get the information elsewhere from other regulatory authorities. Or at most, if you're not reducing, you could centralize the regulation. That if
such that we minimize costs.
Yeah, we minimize costs, we minimize time wastage, the fatigue in trying to seek the audiences for you to show that you've regulated.
Looking for signatures here and there.
Yes, because now let me give you an example. Today we have just heard from the second session that it's the deadline for submitting the data protection report.
Oh, true.
How many people are there know that actually today is the deadline? Or how many people are ready?
Very few, like 500.
Because it's possible someone has just finished dealing with URSB.
Yes.
Or he has just filed returns with a bureau, and now he's overwhelmed. And now you're telling him, by the way,
today is the deadline.
Midnight. Meanwhile, he's been here all day.
The whole day.
Yeah, he's not resisting. Okay, he's not saying that I won't do this, or it's not necessary. But it's just like you lose track of what must provide where and so forth. And we are saying they can be aware. All of this either it's not minimized, but can ease reporting in the sector.
Well, thank you so much. As we talk regulation, we should also touch a little bit on compliance. A lot of CSOs are not being compliant. What could be the problems?
Compliance, of course, is costly.
Oh.
Okay, there's a cost to compliance. Some of these aspects demanded of compliance, some of them are legalistic in nature, requiring some acumen in terms of legal or law. That's number one. Number two, when we are fundraising money to, for donor, the partnerships we have, there is yet to be an acceptable vote that can you help me fund compliance as well. Okay, so someone must travel from Kigezi, from Kampala, to come and make filings here, because some of the filings remain manual, physical. Okay, we have not yet digitalized.
Submit physical documents.
Yes, okay. We are yet to have a full-fledged transition to digitalization, which would also ease. So you find that the lack of compliance is not deliberate. It is induced by factors sometimes that are beyond people's control, like I said, because
there
of the
legal
cost
constraints that are bringing
constraints. Some organizations, because compliance is costly, some organizations do not have money
to do that.
They are fundraising, they are not yet stable financially. So we think that, and these are the discussions we're having today, that is there a system that needs to be, can we reform the system where even if I'm still grappling with compliance, okay, you don't see me as negating the duty, but you actually find out from me what could be the problem. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. James. It has been an honor to have you in the Digital Studios of Digital TV. I'm going to let you go and get another person to pick their opinions of the discussions that have happened up there. Thank you so much. I'm really humbled.
Welcome.
Correct, Charity, that the question that you responded to was from the Dutch, not the Danish. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we do our picture before you go. We need the back. Thank you. It happens always whenever we say from Denmark.
So what do I face?
This.
Okay.
Well, I am from Dr. James, talking compliance and regulation, and I have in studios Dr. Moses Isoba. With him, I want us to focus on the donor basket, on the centralized donor fund. Is it applicable? Can it work? What are the impacts? Dr. Isoba, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much. I think when it comes to what you are calling the donor basket, is simply meaning donors coming together to be able to be a one-stop for resourcing the civil society sector. And that's not new. We had the Democratic Governance Facility, which was popularly called the DGF.
Yes.
DGF was perhaps one of the single largest funding mechanism for civil society organizations. And what that meant is that then, you do not have to walk to the Swedish embassy, to the Danish embassy, to the Irish embassy. You went into this one place and you'd actually be able to get, resources from there. So I think it's important that that continues. I know that right now there are a couple of donors that have actually come together and put money to be able to support some programs around the areas of accountability. But I think we need more of that, especially in the the funding constraints that we are having.
Okay, doctor, but when we look at what happened to DGF some years back, doesn't that raise concerns if you still advocate for the same thing?
Yeah, and I mean that's really the fear, and that when you put resources in one place, you create a basket fund, you increase the volume of resources into that one place.
Yes.
And that then comes with a bit of fear on the side of government. But I mean, there shouldn't be any fear, because NGOs are not competing with government. NGOs are complementing with the work of the government. So in a way, government should be extremely excited when they see that NGOs are well resourced, because then we could go into communities and be able to improve the social indicators of our people. We would actually go in communities, build that classroom block, put up that watering point. And I think for me, this sort of notion of fear comes as a result of mistrust. But I think we need to increasingly work around plugging the trust deficits, so that the government should never be worried about the volume of resources that are being made available for the sector.
But why is it that sometimes the government feels like intimidated by the works of the CSOs? Do you go beyond your limits? Do you overstep?
No, we do not overstep at all. And I think it's just the continued negative narrative about the sector, which we need to debunk, because those are negative narratives. Or the sector is doing like this, or the sector is partisan. No, the sector is not partisan at all. The sector is simply doing its work of either accountability or working with communities to create citizen agency. And any government should be quite excited that a sector is helping to build that civic agency. Any government should be quite interested and excited that, as civil society organization, you are doing ABCD. But I think this whole idea, there is a bit of mistrust. And I think in the last session, we are really working on how do we build the trust.
Well, that, doctor, reminds me of the discussion that we had in the morning about collaborations and aligning our activities with the government programs.
Yeah.
Now I want to pick your opinion. Is it okay for you? Would you, second the idea of CSOs going into collaborations with the government?
We need to. And I mean, make no mistake, already civil society organizations are in collaboration with government. And the fact that actually you sign an MOU with either the mother ministry, or you go to this one, sign an MOU, or you get an operational permit, that operational permit in itself means you are in collaboration. Because if you aren't, they wouldn't give you the permit. If you aren't in collaboration, they wouldn't even sign the MOU. So we are already there. All we need is to see how we can reduce this trust deficit.
Yes.
And I think that is something that is ongoing process. Trust takes time to develop. I've just mentioned in this other panel that I've been on that, as they say, trust comes on foot, but it lives on a horseback, which means that it takes time to develop trust. But we're in the process of developing trust.
Well, in the last session, I heard you emphasizing comply to bad laws, be on the good side of the bad law, and then comply from there. In democratic situations, would that be a good move?
No, and no, let me also correct perhaps what might have been gotten wrongly. I'm not saying that comply to a bad law. I think once a law has been enacted, it has been enacted by it has been enacted by the members of parliament, and it is a law. Let us not start recalibrating it whether it is bad or law. It could be a progressive law, it could be a retrogressive law, but it is a law. And I think what we've been calling on in the last session, that we need to comply. Because when you comply, you are insulating yourself from the fact that you will be said, okay, you didn't comply. So do not play in harm's way. As an organization, you need to ensure that you are adhering to all the administrative and legislative requirements of the state. You are adhering. And that's what I call you are being on the right side of what sometimes we may call a retrogressive law, what we may think it's not a good law, but you are being on the right side. And once you are there, you have complied, you get your legitimacy. And from there, then you can actually be able to engage with the different government agencies to try and see what needs to be changed.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. It has been an honor to have you in the studios to share your opinions of the discussions that have happened up there. Yeah. So tomorrow, the discussions continue. And please, when we come on to you, please give us the chance again to host you in our digital studios. We are going on for another person to find out what they got within this first day. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
At least a regulatory framework that you all feel you have full ownership for. So in terms of the ongoing exercise of the current regulatory review exercise, the roadmap that is being used, first we started by development of the regulatory impact assessment. We have a draft report. Secondly, we are having stakeholder consultations whereby we are using that draft report to consult and collect more views from different stakeholders countrywide. Once we are done in that exercise, the third bit will be to incorporate those views and help us come up with a draft policy and also extract principles for either amendment or repeal of the current act. Then after that, the Minister for Internal Affairs will be able to proceed to Cabinet with both the draft policy and the draft act and the principles. And if they are considered, the policy will be approved and will continue to Parliament so that all this is actually concluded. So I'm calling upon you that all of you please.
This first session of the CSO Convention 2025, a lot has been discussed. I've had two doctors in studios sharing their opinions of what has been put up there, and I have been joined by a lady in studios. She's been part of these discussions from the morning till the evening, till we said, yeah, it is the end now, we go home, we break off. I want her to tell us what has stood out for her and why.
Thank you so much. My name is Marjorie Nsanyu, and I work with an organization called Bionabi Nzika Ministries. We're located in Mukono, and we work in supporting elderly people. What has stood up for me today, and I am glad that I was able to take part in the convention, is I've been enlightened about the future of the CSO sector, because we've seen so many things happening. And now that we are going into elections, we know that most of the time the government is very strict with the NGOs, thinking that maybe money is siphoned through the NGOs to support the opposition parties. And overall, we've seen a shrinking space in the donor funding. And if we have to look at the future of the CSO sector right now, we have to think about expanding our horizons, how we are going to get funding without relying on the donors whom we have been used to, the foreigners who have been funding our programs and projects. So it has been an eye-opening so many sessions where I've been able to know that it's now we're getting out of this comfort zone of thinking that the donors are going to help us, and opening up our minds to know that now we have to look into other avenues of sourcing for funding, like local philanthropy and running social enterprises, so that we don't let our NGOs die. So that we continue working and serving the community that we
Well, thank you so much. That's been a great insight. Now you who hasn't attended, but you've been following us online, now you know where the CSO future is headed. Now you know where to focus your energy. We have been looking at the future of CSOs in Uganda, focusing on the law, money and politics. So I hope you have enjoyed the discussions. I'm going to let the lady in studios to go, and as I look for other panelists to share their opinions about the discussions that we were having throughout the day. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Formation of these organizations in Uganda, they are being done in a very haphazard way and not in a streamlined manner. Meaning anyone can wake up tomorrow, feel like opening up an NGO, either because they want to secure some funding, or else they feel they want to create jobs for themselves, or for any reason, they'll just wake up, go and form an NGO. That is not the problem. The problem is how are they doing it? In most cases, you'll find there's only one person who actually has the vision. The rest of the people who are coming to be part of that organization don't even have a clue of what they're even getting themselves into. And as NGO Bureau, we have seen this over and over again, that so many people actually are forming organizations, but they don't have the appreciation of even why they are forming these organizations. I'll tell you that in 2019, when we reviewed and validated the NGOs in this country, out of the 14,207 NGOs that were registered in 2019, we ended up having only 2,000 organizations that were actually actively operating out there. And I can tell you that from our analysis, much as funding contributed to the closure of so many NGOs, a number of people simply abandoned their NGOs. Meaning that you start an NGO so well, hoping to either get funding or anything out of it, but at the end of the day,
he was part of the panel that was discussing the formulation of the policy frameworks, and I am going to concentrate on that. I heard him talk about the 4 principles, including the power, accountability, credibility, and legitimacy. But also, we were told there is a regulatory impact assessment going around. If you are a leader of a CSO and you haven't, gotten access to it, just be informed. It is going around to pick your opinions on what you would want to be included, what is working for you and what isn't working for you. So Mr. Ochen is going to be telling us why he thinks some frameworks should be put in place.
Yeah, I think basically what I was trying to say is that regulation or compliance is a very good concept.
Yes.
Because it helps you build your credibility, it helps build trust and a culture of discipline and public support. So I think this is very important. That's why today I was emphasizing one thing, that any reform that government is making must help the internal working of the organization to flourish. I was comparing it to a doctor who's assessing a patient, and the type of medicine you give must enhance the body, should not disable and paralyze it.
The body, yes.
So there are 4 critical elements that give an organization life. One is legitimacy. That means, what does it have to offer? What is it offering? What is it offering? Your product, your what? Like if you look at a company like Centenary, or if you look at like Century Bottling Company, what makes them legit is their product, and that is Peps, and everywhere you go you say, I want Coke. I want Coke. So what are we offering? Because that's what makes us legit. How credible are we? How reliable are we? That is credibility. How accountable are we? Do we have impact? So when you are bringing reforms, it must not affect these 4 core principles of life, so that the organization remains impactful and influential, the organization remains legit, the organization remains alive and active, it remains reliable. Otherwise, a bad reform will push it underground and they begin behaving differently. Well, so that was one. Then I said also, the second important thing is
Well, you go ahead. Go ahead.
The second most important thing is that the regulator must have the requisite power and authority to protect and regulate. And you remember my concern was, if you looked at during the rationalization, the NGO bureau was downgraded to just a committee. They only gave it a big name called the bureau.
A bureau.
But it's just a committee.
It is just a committee.
Just a committee. But if you compare it with Kenya, Kenya has an independent public benefits organizations authority, which operates like powers of high court. So
what are your recommendations towards that particular issue?
I think one is that government should revisit it is a rationalization decision and give the bureau an independent, semi-autonomous status with the power to regulate and protect the sector. I think that is key. Then the other thing is that all recommendations, all prescriptions the bureau is getting through the RIA, that is the risk assessment report, should be tailored towards giving life to the sector, not over-regulating it, not paralyzing it. You know, over-regulation paralyzes. If you look at the current way, the way it is formed, it is approaching it from the controlling aspect. For example, you don't see any recommendation which talks about rewarding and promoting the best performers. You only see it talking about punishing the worst performer.
Those who are going past.
So now they are wielding a big stick. They are raising a stick. And you know that they say fear breaks creativity and confidence. So you will end up with a sector that operates under the paralysis of fear. So I think that was a critical aspect I was raising.
Well, thank you so much. A lot has been said, and I'm going to let Mr. Ochen go, and as we look for other people to share their opinions on how the day has gone. A very good evening, and thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah, you have.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.